Hello, everyone. My name is Waleed, and I want to welcome you to my channel. I want to thank you for taking a little bit of your time to spend some time with me. And I hope that you will like this video. I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will watch this video to the end. I am going to take a look at a video with you guys that highlights the crime situation in Jamaica. And I will say that in Jamaica, the crime has vastly improved. And it has improved so much to the point that the U.S. travel advisories and the travel advisories from other countries has greatly improved. So, let's take a look at this video together.
For decades, Jamaica was constantly ranked among the most violent countries in the world. Headlines told one story, statistics told another, and fear became normal. But something strange happened in 2025. Without massive headlines, without international praise, Jamaica's crime numbers started falling fast. Not by accident, not by luck. And what makes this even more shocking is how it happened. Because most countries tried the same things and failed. So the question is, what did Jamaica do differently, and why is almost no one talking about it? Let's be clear about where Jamaica was coming from. In 2023, Jamaica recorded 1,393 homicides. That's a homicide rate of approximately 60.9 per 100,000 inhabitants, the highest in Latin America and the Caribbean that year. That's more than 10 times higher than the United States. For years, Jamaicans lived with this reality. Gang violence controlled entire communities. Illegal firearms flooded the streets. The news cycle became predictable: another shooting, another statistic, another life lost. The public grew tired, skeptical, many stopped believing things could ever change. When politicians promised solutions, people had heard it before. When police announced new strategies, communities had seen them fail. The overwhelming feeling was resignation. This is just how Jamaica is. But underneath that fatigue, something else was building. A quiet determination. An understanding that the status quo was unsustainable. What changed next is something most people completely missed. 2024 marked the beginning of a shift. Jamaica ended the year with 1,139 homicides, a 19% decline from 2023's 1,393. But that was just the warm-up. 2025 is where the story gets remarkable. As of May 17, 2025, Jamaica recorded 257 homicides, a 42% reduction compared to 439 homicides during the same period in 2024. The country experienced 14 consecutive weeks with weekly homicides counts below 15, the longest stretch in 25 years. By December 8, Jamaica had recorded 630 homicides compared to 1,092 during the same period in 2024, a 42.3% reduction. Projections indicate the country will finish 2025 with fewer than 700 homicides for the first time since 1994, when 690 people were killed. The projected homicide rate would be approximately 24 per 100,000 population, the lowest in nearly 40 years. These aren't marginal improvements. These are
One of the things that I will say on a personal note is that, I'm so glad that the crime in Jamaica is getting better. The law enforcement and the government is getting a bit of a handle on the problem of crime and violence in Jamaica. That's going to definitely benefit Jamaica. It's going to benefit the local people. It's going to benefit me. I'm not Jamaican. I'm U.S. I'm American, born and raised in New York. But the benefits to me is, I'm a homeowner here in Jamaica, and I own a beautiful home that is a high-end luxury vacation rental, a high-end luxury vacation rental that you can afford. That's really important to me. But with these kind of encouraging numbers and the handle that the government and law enforcement now has over the criminals and the crime rates, with the current crime rates going down, that's only going to help me. It's only going to encourage more people to travel to Jamaica, which would benefit me, which would benefit the country, which would benefit the locals. So I'm really happy to see that the U.S. travel advisory has even improved as a result of the crimes going down. So, yeah.
Historic reversals, but numbers alone don't explain why this worked. Before we go further, if you care about Jamaica's future and you want more fact-based breakdowns like this, hit the like button. It helps this video reach more people who need to see it. And consider subscribing, because what's happening in Jamaica right now isn't a one-off story, and most channels aren't covering it properly. Now here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. When crime falls dramatically, people immediately jump to familiar explanations. More police on the streets? Heavier force? Extended curfews and emergency powers? Here's the thing, Jamaica tried all of those for years. When the current administration took office in 2016, Jamaica faced over 350 active gangs operating nationwide. The response included states of emergency, zones of special operations, increased military presence in volatile areas. Those measures created temporary stability. They bought breathing room, but they weren't enough on their own. If force alone worked, crime would have fallen years ago. What Jamaica discovered was more complex and more replicable. So what did Jamaica do? 1. Intelligence-led policing. Jamaica implemented focused deterrence, a data-driven approach targeting specific individuals responsible for disproportionate amounts of serious crime. This wasn't random patrols. This was precise. During the first quarter of 2025, 85 active gangs were identified across all 19 police divisions, a 29% decrease from 120 gangs during the same period in 2024. The police weren't trying to arrest everyone. They were identifying the small percentage of individuals responsible for the majority of violence and focusing resources there. And this connects to something even deeper. 2. Disrupting the economics of crime. Authorities opened parallel money laundering investigations for each major crime case, targeting criminal assets. Whether stolen vehicles, human trafficking, fraud, or gang-related activity, police went after the money. They used civil asset forfeiture to weaken criminal organizations financially. When criminals realized law enforcement was coming for their profits, not just their freedom, the calculation changed. This wasn't just law enforcement. It was economic warfare against criminal enterprises. Which leads to the third piece. 3. Cutting off the weapons supply. Between December 2024.
One of the things that I will say that was mentioned in this video previously is that a lot of the crime and violence is gang related and organized by criminals, and that kind of activity from gangs and organized criminals really is a huge percentage of the criminal activity that happens in Jamaica. And most of that doesn't have a big effect on tourism and tourists and people traveling to the country. A lot of these crimes are very specific. They're in certain communities. They're very targeted, and it doesn't really affect tourism. And in most cases, tourists are going to be very safe when they come to Jamaica, if they're not in these areas where these criminals are operating. And I'm glad that they are getting this under control, because if they didn't get this under control, I think that eventually it could start to have an impact on tourism. So I'm glad that the government and law enforcement is cracking down on crime in Jamaica.
4. In June 2025, authorities seized 738 firearms, an 81% increase over the corresponding period in 2024. Nearly 39,776 rounds of ammunition were recovered, approximately 7 times the amount seized during the similar period in 2024. In May 2025, one of the largest busts in the country's history occurred when 233 firearms and over 40,000 rounds of ammunition were seized, concealed in an industrial-sized water heater. Nearly 80% of all homicides in Jamaica involve firearms. Taking guns off the streets wasn't symbolic, it was strategic. The Jamaica Customs Agency upgraded scanning technology at ports and worked with international partners to intercept weapons entering from the United States, resulting in a 12% increase in firearm seizures at formal ports of entry. And here's where it gets interesting. 4. Modernizing the force. Capital expenditure on national security jumped from $2.67 billion Jamaican dollars in fiscal year 2015-16 to over $19.56 billion. The government invested over $90 billion in security forces over 9 years. This wasn't just about hiring more officers. It was about transformation. New police stations, modern vehicles, upgraded technology, better training, enhanced surveillance capabilities, improved intelligence gathering. The government launched Plan Secure Jamaica in 2017, a comprehensive national security strategy designed to address root causes of violence and strengthen protective institutions. They also introduced Project ROC, Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, which upgraded or rebuilt police facilities across the country, with new state-of-the-art stations commissioned. But there's one more factor that might be the most important of all. Here's what no one wants to say out loud, but everyone knows is true: crime doesn't just fall because of what police do. It falls when communities decide they've had enough. Senior police officials acknowledged that community partnership was a major pillar of crime-fighting success, with communities taking a stand that enough is enough. After decades of violence, something shifted in Jamaica's collective consciousness. Gang members who once had community protection found less tolerance. Witnesses who previously stayed silent began cooperating with investigations. This isn't something you can measure with statistics. It's cultural, psychological. It's what happens when a society collectively decides that the cost of violence has become unbearable. But cultural shifts don't happen in a vacuum. They happen when people see that cooperation produces results. When they witness that reporting crime leads to arrests. When they observe that gangs are actually being dismantled, not just temporarily displaced. The government created the conditions. The police executed the strategy. But the community, tired, skeptical, and desperate for change, made the final decision to engage. So if Jamaica achieved something this significant, why isn't it international news? Simple answer: positive change doesn't travel as fast as disaster.
This is a very important point that is being made now. I think that crime and violence in Jamaica and crime and violence anywhere is an issue, but in Jamaica, crime and violence is an issue. I think another big part of this issue is the way that the media covers this issue. And it is unfortunate that when things are out of control in Jamaica and crime is surging and violence is surging and gang violence is taking over communities, it seems to be front page news. It seems to be the headlines and the focus uh, 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 in so many different countries. When things are going bad in Jamaica and things are going crazy and there's a lot of violence and a lot of crime, every other country is reporting on it. Like it's like they don't have anything else to talk about. In the U.S. or in Europe or in Canada, they're just reporting all these bad, sinister things about Jamaica and really just damaging the country's reputation. But at the same time, now that things are turning around and things are improving, the media really isn't talking about it that much. People who really pay attention are learning that things are improving in Jamaica, especially people who may follow the U.S. travel advisories and in so many other countries that offer travel advisories for their citizens. Those people who are paying attention to those travel advisories are learning that, hey, things are improving in Jamaica. The travel advisories for many countries is improved for Jamaica, but the media at large is ignoring that. They really aren't reporting on it and highlighting these improvements in Jamaica the same way that they jump all over the bad stories that come out of, coming out of Jamaica, and this is a perfect example of when the media does a huge disservice to a country or to a community. Report the same way in all situations. If there's good situations that are happening, report on those good situations the same way that you report on all the bad situations. So that's one of the problems that has put Jamaica at a disadvantage. The media just doesn't cover the stories the same way when it's a good story as opposed to a bad story.
Mass shooting in Jamaica makes headlines globally. A 42% drop in homicides over a year? That's a footnote. Media narratives lag reality. Journalists develop frameworks for understanding places, and those frameworks are hard to update. Jamaica, in much of international coverage, is still defined by its past, not its present trajectory. There's also a more cynical reality: chaos gets clicks. Progress requires nuance, explaining a multifaceted.
If you're in Jamaica, or if you travel to Jamaica, or you uh, um, uh, are involved with tourism or anything in Jamaica, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the crime and violence in Jamaica. Do you see the improvements? Do you agree with what I was saying about how the media covers crime in Jamaica? Leave a comment.
Crime reduction strategy takes work. A single violent incident can be packaged in 60 seconds. But there's something else going on. Jamaica's story doesn't fit the usual script that international media likes to tell about developing countries. It's not about foreign intervention saving the day. It's not about a miracle drug or a technological silver bullet. It's about strategic investment, institutional reform, intelligence-driven policing, and community exhaustion with violence. That's harder to sell, less dramatic, more complicated, and yet it's exactly the kind of story other countries need to hear. Because Jamaica isn't unique in facing gang violence. Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, parts of Central America, cities across Latin America, they're all dealing with similar challenges. What Jamaica is proving is that decline is possible. Not easy, not overnight, but possible. If you want to follow where Jamaica goes from here, subscribe. This story isn't finished, and the next chapter matters. The question now is whether Jamaica can sustain what it's achieved or whether this progress slips away. Jamaica didn't become perfect overnight. The country still has challenges. Even with projections of fewer than 700 homicides for 2025, a historic low, that's still far too many lives lost. Gang violence hasn't disappeared. Illegal weapons still enter the country. Communities still deal with trauma from decades of violence. But Jamaica proved something many countries never do, that change is possible when the approach finally changes. When you stop trying the same failed tactics and start building something comprehensive. When you invest in institutions instead of just throwing money at problems. When you use intelligence instead of just force. When you disrupt the economics of crime. When you modernize your security apparatus and give communities a reason to believe cooperation matters. The real question now isn't whether crime can fall. Jamaica answered that. The question is whether Jamaica can protect this progress or lose it again. Because here's the uncomfortable truth: everything that brought crime down can unravel if the pressure lets up. If investment stops. If focus shifts. If the public loses faith. Other countries are watching, some with skepticism, some with hope, some wondering if what worked in Jamaica could work for them. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real story here. Not that Jamaica solved crime, but that Jamaica showed it's solvable.
Well, I want to thank you for taking a little bit of your time to spend some time with me. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope that you will like. I hope that you will subscribe. And as I said before, leave a comment. What do you think about the crime situation in Jamaica? I hope that you will visit my channel and watch other videos. Thank you very much. Take care.